What's the next one? Come on, guys. What's the next one? Income. An estate plan, have you heard about this, that the rich are always asset rich, liquid poor? You've heard this, right? And the reason is because they have horrible cash flow management. I work with some of the wealthiest families, all right? So I'm working with, I can't name the client, but I'm working with a royal family. And when I was sitting with them, there was a business that they were looking to acquire. And that business was depreciated by about 40%, which means the value of the business is X, let's say 100. They were getting the business for $60, which is a very good discount, correct or not? You're getting a 40% discount. You know what was the first question they asked me? They said, Sanjay, what's the cash flow on that business? And I said, what difference does it make? You're getting a 40% discount. If you hold it for maybe 1 or 2 years, you can flip it for 100 million. It was a $100 million business. You're getting it for 60 million. You can just flip it for 40 million more in 1 or 2 years. And they said, no. We never buy a business for a discount. We buy a business for its cash flow. And I was like, wow, I don't even think about that. And that's when I created this presentation, which is called the tree and root presentation. I'm going to come back to this, all right? So this is our most important page. This is the roots of a tree, okay? Now, if I cut the tree from the top, but the roots are still there, can the tree grow back? Exactly. But if I cut the roots, the tallest trees will fall down. True or not? So, the tree is your assets, and the roots is your income. As long as your income is consistent, as long as you've got consistent flow of income, even if your asset value drops, it's okay, they will grow back. But if your income stops, the biggest assets lose value. So when you're doing estate planning, it's about building a stream of cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, and cash flow. It's all about building income. Now let me ask all of you this question. How many of you would like guaranteed income? Guaranteed, no headaches. That's what I thought, almost all of you. How many of you have guaranteed income? 1, 2, 3. That's 3-4% of the population. And that's the truth. We all have invested in non-guaranteed income assets. Every estate that I work with has a lot of non-guaranteed income. My job is to take that non-guaranteed and convert into guaranteed income. That's our job. You see, what's our job? To take away all the risk that our clients don't like. The risk of managing money. So I had a conversation with a client the other day, and he was like, Sanjay, I can manage my portfolio, right? I'm very good with money management. He's actually a very successful business owner. He loves sitting down with private bankers, and he does a lot of very fun investments. Buys structured notes, buys bonds, convertible options. Some of you are even wondering what language I'm speaking, correct or not? Right? These are what we call fancy investments that the rich do. All right? So he loves doing all these very fancy investments. And I was sitting with him and I said, Mr. Client, you know what? You're probably one of the most savvy investors I've met. You're one of the most savvy investors I've met. But let me ask you only one question. If something happens to you, who else in your family can do this? You see, I have no doubt in your capability. But the problem is, can the next generation do what you do? And the answer is there's a very low probability that this talent passes on. However, you can teach this talent to your children. Do you want me to help you teach this talent to your children? There's a very simple way. You need to give them money to play with. You see, if you spend money, you will learn it. It's called the cost of education. Right? Every time I lose money, I call it cost of education. Right? It's a very good way to feel good. True or not? We all have lost money in our life, correct? When you lose money, what do you call it? Cost of education. Now, Mr. Client, would you like your children to use your money or my money? You see, my money is always cheaper than your money. Why don't I build a play fund which they can play with? And I learned this from a client. A client of mine taught me this. He is one of the biggest property developers in Indonesia. Okay? I was sitting with him one day, and they call him the man with the golden hand. Whichever property he touches turns to gold. So I asked him, I was like, Uncle, I call him Uncle because he's older than I am. I said, Uncle, can you tell me how do you know which property will become so good? Because you have the same information that I have. You have the same information that everyone has. How do you know that this property will turn to gold? And he said, Sanjay, it's instinct. I feel it in my stomach. I just feel it. This, when I touch it, will become gold. I feel it. And I was like, how did you build this feeling? And he said, Sanjay, it's not that I've always had a golden hand. I've made a lot of mistakes as well. But those mistakes have taught me this feeling. So I said, Uncle, do you think your children have this feeling? And he said, Sanjay, I don't think so. I was like, so Uncle, then how are you going to teach this feeling to them? And he's like, Sanjay, I've created a play fund for them that they can actually try to buy things, sell things, lose that money. It's okay. Let them try things in their life. I call it the play fund. And I was like, wow. Uncle, can I ask you a question? Would you like to save that money? And he said, what do you mean? I said, I can create a play fund for your children for 30% of the cost. My money is cheaper than your money. Whenever you die, the fund is created. How much money do you have kept in this fund? He said, Sanjay, about $25 million. I said, you know what? Give me the 25 million, I'll give them 75. I'll give them 75. It's a 1:3, right? Guys, insurance is a 1:3 game. 1:3, 1:2, 1:4, depending on age, correct or not? So I told him, you give me the 25, I'll create a 75 pool for them. He's like, how? I said, Uncle, we just use life insurance. And that's how I sold my first $75 million policy. That's it. A simple conversation like that. Creating a play fund that they can use to build an income stream from. Because every estate needs income. Every estate needs liquidity. We all agreed yesterday, right? Cash is king. Cash is king. Now, how long does this presentation take me? 3 minutes? 4 minutes? How long has this conversation taken me? 20 minutes? Why do you spend 2 hours with the client? I don't get it.
Ever wondered how some advisors always manage to close bigger cases? Their secret often lies in focusing on inheritance and succession planning. Hi there, my name is Dr. Sanjay Tolani and I've got some exciting news for all of you. On the 5th of July in Malaysia and 7th of July in Singapore, I'll be running a special workshop called Inheritance and Succession Planning 2023. In this session, I'll show you how to tap into this niche and open up 200% larger premium cases in 2023 without needing to learn about will writing. Now, this new approach could be your ticket to handling larger cases and boosting your career. So don't miss out. Click on the link to grab your tickets. I can't wait to see you at this special 4-hour seminar.
All right. What's the last one? Asset transfer. The last and one of the most important parts of estate planning is asset transfer. Who should be owning the asset? Who should be owning the asset? Does a third party own it? Do you own it? Does an insurance company own it? Who owns those assets? Because you have to remember, assets over a period of time lose value. Assets over a period of time lose value. So let me show you a very simple example of a presentation that I use when it comes to asset transfer. Okay? This is one of my favorite presentations because it made me get my largest deal ever in my life. Okay, before we go there, can you tell me what are the different asset classes that are there that you can invest your money in? Okay? All of you are financial advisors, correct, right? Just confirming. What are the different assets that you can invest your money in? Cash, okay. What else? Properties. What else? Equity and shares, yeah. Equity. What else? That's not an asset, that's a fake asset. I want assets, okay? NFT. I live in the real world, not in the metaverse. We are going into the matrix now. Huh? Gold, or what we call commodities, yes. What else? Last one? Bonds. Bonds. There are only 5 asset classes. Any 6th asset class is a combination of one of these 5. We call them hybrids. Okay? These are the only 5 asset classes in the world. Now, this is what a typical family balance sheet looks like. Every family, every wealthy family will have a business. They will have some properties. They will have some investments like in bonds, etc. They will have a bank account. And they have jewelry. Business is equity, property is property, investments is most like bonds, bank account is cash, your jewelry is commodity. The 5 asset classes. This is a typical family balance sheet. Can we agree on this? Yes? Okay. Now, the value of your business can go up and down? Yes? The value of your property can go up and down? Yes? The value of your investments can go up and down? The value of your bank account will go up and down based on how these 3 perform, correct or not? The value of your jewelry doesn't exist. Your wife won't allow you to sell her. That's why the men don't like jewelry. Do you understand now, women? It's not that we don't like diamonds, it's just that you will never allow us to sell it. All right, that's why we call it a dead investment. But a lot of people don't realize, happy wife, happy life, correct or not? I tell you, men, buy diamonds, you will have a lot more peace. So, when we look at this balance sheet, it goes up and down based on different factors, correct or not? So, 2022, 2032. Let's say the value of my balance sheet is $10 million, right? So I'm worth $10 million. What do you think is the value of mine in about 10 years? What do you think is my value? Any guess, guys? Any guess? Whatever you say is correct. 20 million? Yeah, that's possible, right? So my 10 million should have become 20 million, correct or not? Yes, we agree? Can my 10 also become 7 million? It can, right? So Mr. Client, I truly believe that in 10 years, your 10 million should become 20 million. I believe, because you have done it before. You have created 0 from 10. You can do 10 to 20 also. You have done it once, you can do it again. Even if the value drops to 7, I know that you will automatically, if you're there, you'll push it back to 20. You know how to do it. I have no doubt in your capability. How many of you drive a car? Most of you, okay. Now, imagine you're driving the car on the highway, okay, and all of a sudden there's a hole in the road, right, a pothole. What happens to your car? You get a jerk. How do you come out of that jerk? Your car has something called a shock absorber. So your car helps you absorb that shock so you don't feel the jerk, correct? This is your estate. It also needs a shock absorber. You see, Mr. Client, as long as you are driving, you are my shock absorber. But in case something happens to you, we have created a product which is called the gap insurance. I cover this gap. It only comes into play when something happens to you, because you can handle it otherwise. You see, I have no doubt in your capability, but your family might not be able to. So they need a shock absorber, and we call that gap insurance. Now the question is, how much gap insurance should you buy? Right? How much gap insurance should you buy? When you're driving the car, can you buy a car that makes you feel nothing at all? Impossible. Even if you have the best Rolls Royce, you will still feel some shock. Right or not? So the formula for gap insurance is 25 to 50% of net worth. So if your net worth is $10 million, how much is 50%? $5 million. Can we agree? So in case in 2032 you pass away and the value of your family has become 7 million, I am a plus 5. How much is that? 7 plus 5 is 12, exactly. Which is still more than your 10, because I am a shock absorber. Now, if the value of your family is 20, how much do I pay out? I always am a plus 5. You see, that's the advantage of gap insurance. Gap insurance helps your family come out of any type of situation. If you are there, you will take care of it. But if you're not there, I take care of it. And this presentation is a very simple presentation. Can we agree? Yes? I was sitting with a client, his net worth is $200 million, and I did this presentation to him. You see, I don't ask my client, what's your net worth? They won't tell me anyways. True or not? You go to a wealthy guy and you ask them, how rich are you? Very. That's pretty much the answer you'll get. How much do you earn? A lot. True or not? So I don't even ask my clients their net worth. I just tell them the formula. And this guy is looking at me and he's like, so if my net worth is $200 million, you're saying I should be buying $100 million? I was like, yeah. Listen guys, at that point I'd never sold a $100 million policy in my life. Okay? So this confidence was not that high. So I'm looking at him and I'm like, uh-huh. He's like, Sanjay, don't you think that's too much? I said, the formula is 50%, so the formula is always right. He's like, okay, let's start with 50 now. Guys, I didn't even know what to sell to him. This presentation did $50 million for me. And then I told him, I said, but you've got the formula wrong. It's supposed to be 100. Okay, we'll start with 50. Next year we have to upgrade it. You see, the confidence all of a sudden came in. You know why? Because I trust the formula. Guys, you need to learn to trust your formulas. Make sense? Simple presentation. How long did it take me? 5 minutes? Yes? So now, tell me, how many of you want to waste your time doing legal and tax services? None of you, right? Can we agree on stop doing that? Please stop wasting your time. I remember many years ago, I was told, if you sit down with your client and you write down their will, you will be able to do your fact finding. After they write down the will, they think they don't need any estate planning. True or not? They're like, hey, enough. I've already done so much for them. How much more I'll do? And end of conversation. And that's why when I sit down with a client, I draw this triangle and I say, Mr. Client, your legal will be handled by your lawyer. Your taxation will be handled by your accountant. I'm not going to get involved. They are professionals. Let them do what they do best. However, these 5 are my responsibility. We can start at any of these. It doesn't matter, because whichever is our quickest priority, we'll take care of that first. That's the best thing about estate planning. You can choose which one you want to focus on. By the way, you can also choose which one to specialize in. You don't have to do all 5, guys. You could become a specialist just with charity. It's enough money. You can become a specialist just with retirement. It's enough money. You can become a specialist, what we call an income specialist. There's enough money. And if you want to become a transfer specialist, you can even become a transfer specialist. Can you imagine each of these you can have a specialization? None of us were told this, correct or not? Guys, you don't have to do all of it. You can become an inheritance specialist, you can become a charity specialist, you can become a retirement specialist, you can become an income specialist, you can become an asset transfer specialist. Each one of them is a billion dollar industry by itself. And that is the secret to true estate planning. Not what we've been taught, but what is true estate planning. So when you leave this hall today, I want you all to learn to focus on true estate planning for every family that you meet. Every family needs an estate plan. Whether you're rich, whether you're poor, it doesn't matter. If you have assets that need to be passed on to the next generation, you need to do estate planning. I promise all of you will hit a jackpot one day. All of you will hit a jackpot one day, the day your parents die. Some of you will get 10,000 ringgit, some of you will get 10 million ringgit, some of you will get 100 million ringgit. You will all hit a jackpot. The question is, how do you help families multiply that jackpot? This is the process that I use. Is this a difficult process? It's not. You see, I can't teach you everything in 30 minutes, guys, but I wanted to give you a gist of each aspect of estate planning so that you can understand and start thinking which area you want to specialize in. Because if you don't learn to specialize, you will just be the average advisor. I was told this, that I cannot become a multiple TOT. After I learned this, you know my results. You have seen exactly what I do. I'm a specialist in each one of these, but I choose which one I want to work with. I can choose, this month, I only want to do charitable planning. So I sit down with charities, I sit and do work. I want to only do transfer planning. I sit down with families and I talk about transferring assets. And you can choose which one of these you do. There's no problem. By the way, there's a reason why this is a pyramid and not a square. It can also be a square, right? Why is it a pyramid? There's a reason for that. The lower you are on the pyramid, the higher is your income. Your income reduces as you go up of the pyramid. So you choose where you want to start. You see, the pyramids were built by slaves. You know why? They made the first level and they said, let's make the second one a little smaller. Then a little bit smaller. Why? Because they're very tired. They're slaves. They don't want to actually build it. And that's how a pyramid was actually made. It was made by slaves. So you choose which part of the pyramid you want to work in. The highest level has the lowest fee. The lowest level has got the highest fee. You choose. So guys, today, there are 2 things I want you to take away. Number 1, get into the habit of calling clients and having conversations. Number 2, know which conversation to have. Use my presentations. I'm only here to share with you what I do. Copy it, paste it, use it, your choice. All right, it's all for you.
Ever wondered how some advisors always manage to close bigger cases? Their secret often lies in focusing on inheritance and succession planning. Hi there, my name is Dr. Sanjay Tolani, and I've got some exciting news for all of you. On the 5th of July in Malaysia and 7th of July in Singapore, I'll be running a special workshop called Inheritance and Succession Planning 2023. In this session, I'll show you how to tap into this niche and open up 200% larger premium cases in 2023 without needing to learn about will writing. Now, this new approach could be your ticket to handling larger cases and boosting your career. So don't miss out. Click on the link to grab your tickets. I can't wait to see you at this special 4-hour seminar.